Okay, good evening everyone, and I'll call this January 30th regular council meeting to order. First of all, under presentations this evening, it's a pleasure to welcome Marguerite here and Dave this evening. We'd like to recognize Marguerite for 40 years of community service, well actually for more than 45 years. She's helped us out in the community in many areas, but mainly with the Arts Council, whether it be the EAC or the organization of the Saskatchewan Arts Council, OSAC, the agency that once employed her as their executive director. The Estevan Arts Council was formed in 1969, and the following year, Marguerite volunteered for the board. By the time 1974 rolled around, Marguerite had been elected as the EAC's board. It was one of 8 arts councils in the province, operating under the banner of OSAC. They would gather once a year for a convention. They decided they would have to hire an executive director, and the people at the meeting thought Marguerite would be a perfect candidate. Marguerite set about the task of adding to the number of art councils in Saskatchewan, finding art exhibits for touring shows, selecting performers for concerts, and eventually hiring more staff. By the time she left in 1987, there were 64 arts councils, and she was organizing concerts for 50 communities. Stars for Saskatchewan allowed her to line up some of Canada's most talented musicians and dancers for small cities and towns that otherwise wouldn't attract such talented people. OSAC will always be indebted to Marguerite for her dedication and expertise, which allowed the organization to grow and succeed. 2 years after she left OSAC, Marguerite founded the Estevan Tourism Committee, and the following year she started up the Souris Valley Theatre. Marguerite was also heavily involved with the Saskatchewan Southeast Tourism Association and many other organizations. Her efforts earned her numerous honors, awards, and life memberships, and she is a member of the Order of Canada. Marguerite will remain active in the community as well. She is still the chair of Souris Valley Museum and remains active with St. Paul's United Church and a part of the committee for the new Estevan Regional Nursing Home. So Marguerite, in small measure, to thank you for your huge efforts for the city and our community, we'd like to give you this small token of recognition. Come up here, Dirk.
I just had fun.
Yes, you did. You did a fantastic job.
So then there we go, and shoulder to shoulder. Couple more. Last one.
Super.
Very much it.
Lens caps all off.
Thank you.
Super. Thank you so much. Yeah, have you got a small speech, Marguerite?
Sorry?
Just kidding. I just said if you got anything you'd like to say, or?
Oh, I'd say thank you very much. It's very nice to be honored in your hometown where you're just another person.
Well, thank you so much for that. Okay, next, could I have a motion, please, to adopt the agenda as presented? Thank you. Councillor, go ahead, thank you. Seconded by...
Who'd you say?
Councillor Nibs, seconded, first by Councillor Yanish, seconded by Councillor Nibs, sorry. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, could we have a motion to accept the minutes of the council meeting held on January 16th, please? Okay, Councillor Hopper, Councillor Moore, any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under original communications, delegations, and petitions, we've got the Reagan's Disposal Limited Cart Report for December. Could we have a motion to accept the December cart report as presented, please?
I can
Thank
make
you.
that motion, Your Worship.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Vroba. Seconded, Councillor Nibbs. Any questions on the report? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under original communications, delegations and petitions, we have from Southeast Regional College a bursary request. So I'll maybe just quickly go over that. Dear Mayor and Council, thank you for your interest in supporting the students of Southeast College. Please find enclosed scholarship donation form for a proposed City of Estevan bursary, which outlines award criteria for a full-time student enrolled at the Estevan campus who is pursuing their educational goals but challenged with financial need. The City of Estevan bursary would be designated for full-time post-secondary students enrolled at Southeast College's Estevan campus. This includes students in the following 16-17 programs: 4th class Power Engineering Certificate, Electrician Applied Certificate, Industrial Mechanic Applied Certificate, University, beginning fall 2017. Please note that your $1,000 annual contribution would be matched by the Government of Saskatchewan through the Saskatchewan Innovation and Opportunity Scholarship Program to create a second bursary. You would have the opportunity to present both bursaries at our Industry Education Luncheon this spring. Pursuing a post-secondary education takes determination as well as financial sacrifice, and by supporting our students with a scholarship or bursary, you will help students relieve some of those pressures in order to focus on their studies and realize their dreams. Thank you again for your support, and please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. Dave Harzani, Manager, College Advancement. So what's the wish of council on this issue? Councillor Frank?
I personally am very much in favor of this. I think our college is a really fantastic service we have, so I might be very much in favor of it.
Thank you, Councillor Frank, for that. And they have been very supportive, and not only that, but now they've got programs attuned to our area, you know, such as the Sask Power, the electrician. So they've been trying to model their criteria to help us out in the local area. So they've done a fantastic job, and we have a very good relationship with them. Councillor Hufford, did you have your hand up? No? Okay. Anyone else? Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Your Worship. I was wondering, would this be the first time we've supported this in this fashion?
That's correct.
And so would this funds come out of the monies we set aside for exactly this kind of thing? Is that what it's all about?
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. And as well as I read, the province would match up. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like a good deal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. If there's no more comments, do we have a motion? Thank you. Councillor Yanish, seconded by Councillor Frank. Any further questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under written reports of committees, we have the Estevan Art Gallery and Museum minutes of December 15th. Could I have a motion to accept these minutes, please?
I could make that motion if you need, Your Worship.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Vroba, seconded by Councillor Nibbs. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Carried. And thank you, Councillor Vroba. If you like, when I call for the motion, you can say aye, if you would.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to or just say if I was not. Hey.
Okay, thank you for that. Next, under written reports of committees, we have the Leisure Advisory Board minutes of January 4th. Could we have a motion, please, to accept these minutes as presented? Councillor Nibbs, you had to go ahead, City Manager.
To Councillor Frank, just the piano request, I hadn't heard anything about that. That there was a piano donated to Affinity Place?
Yeah, as far as I know, I had asked them a little bit because they, in their agenda, they had been interested in what they could do for a piano, and we're looking at talking to the United Way, but it turned out that somebody had donated one to them, so I don't have all the details on it. But
Okay, I can talk to Nathan about it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Did we get the motion and the seconder? Okay, I think Councillor Moore, had you made the motion to accept these, or Councillor? Okay, Councillor Nibs, thank you. And Councillor Frank, had you seconded? Or you will second? I can. Okay. Any further questions on those minutes? If not, could we have a motion to accept, please? All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Councillor Vroba. Okay, next, under written reports of committees, we have from the Estevan Board of Police Commissioners a bylaw enforcement report for December. Could we have a motion, please, to accept the bylaw enforcement officer report for December? Thank you. Councillor Moore, seconded. Councillor Hoffert, thank you. Any further questions on that at all? It looks like she's getting busier in some areas. If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, next we go to executive reports. We've got the city manager report for 2017, the budget report. I'd like to thank you, city manager, for you and Trudy and all of the staff. I know have done, the managers have done tremendous work in this. Thank you so much. Do you have any comments on this? I know we didn't get a whole lot of feedback, very little feedback on this, but it was very well done. Did you have anything else to add?
To your worship, no, we received no formal feedback. A couple comments about asking about the health levy, which is the same as prior years. Yeah, it's surprising to not receive any feedback when we're trying to be transparent and get people to engage. So either they're happy with the results or they're just status quo. So yeah, it was pretty interesting to see that, but no other formal documentation in regards to the budget was received.
Okay, well, thank you again for your efforts in that regard, and I guess we take it if there's no one storming the Bastille, all is well out there, and for the most part, people are overall satisfied, so we appreciate that. Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Worship. And I do believe that part of the satisfaction is that even as today, somebody stopped me to say what a great job the city works are doing to keep the streets cleared, and they wanted me to make sure that the people in charge of that know that they're doing a good job. And when people are happy, these kind of things kind of slide through without a whole lot of negativity, and we haven't seen that for a long time. So it speaks well to the city staff, the workers at the yard, and anybody that's involved with helping keep the city in good shape. So I just want to pass that on because I'm sure this gentleman will be watching to see if I did or not. So.
Yeah, absolutely, and they have done, our city staff and Norm and all of the managers actually helping out have done a tremendous job. We absolutely appreciate that. So city manager, I imagine you'll want a motion for this passing the 2017 budget. Thank you. Councillor Yanish, have we got a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Moore, any further questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you, Councillor Vroba. Next, coming up, out of that, Councillor Moore, before the election, you had referred this to budget, and that is the speed humps on Willock Road. I'll give a quick overview, and then we can have discussion and a decision on that.
I'll just call conflict on this one since I live on Wellock Road. And
oh, okay. Okay, Councillor Nibs, let it be noted that Councillor Nibs has left the chambers. So in 2016, an inquiry was taken to the police board and the traffic committee in regards to the implementation of speed bumps on Willock Road. A recommendation was made to defer to the 2017 budget deliberations. No amount has been allotted in the current budget for the construction of the speed bumps. Background and discussion in 2016, and I'll let the chief give a brief overview as well this evening. He's here. Thank you, Chief, for coming. The police did a speed analysis on the stretch of Willock Road from Nicholson Road to Victory Road. The results of this analysis were as follows: 2,859 vehicles between the 18th of the 8th month of 16 to the 21st of the 8th month of 16. The average speed, now it's supposed to be 30 kilometer an hour speed zone, but the average speed was 42.5 kilometers. The maximum speed was 83 kilometers. 1,767 out of 2,859 were in excess of 40K per hour. So that was 62% that were in excess of the speed limit. 401 out of 2,859 were in excess of 50K, so that was 14%. And 32 out of 2,859 were in excess of 60 kilometers an hour. That was 1%. So during this time, we put up additional signage indicating the school zone, as well as signage that looks like a small child, thanking people for slowing down. We put one of those on each side. A cost estimate was received for the 3 speed humps. So we're looking at about 9,500 plus taxes for all 3. These would be about 1 meter wide and approximately 10 meters long. Now, the 10 meters long would, of course, go across the width of the road, and they would be about a meter when you cross over. So at the time of the discussion, there was discussion back and forth. I know the gentleman running the Smile van had issue. He thought it would be too rough. There was also comments about the fact that it is a hospital route and the ambulance would have to, I guess, slow down, Councillor Hoffert, which I'm sure they would. But there was also comments about individuals using a different road, such as Nicholson, to avoid having to go over the speed humps. But this was reviewed by the Estevan Board of Police Commissioners as well as the Traffic Control Committee. Both committees agreed 100% to move forward. So here this evening, we will be asking council for this decision. So number one is... sorry, Shelley, I'll just finish up right away, and then you'll be the first to speak. I guess option one would be to not proceed with the implementation of the speed humps, and number 2 would be to proceed with the installation of the speed humps and adjust the budget accordingly. So there has been plenty of discussion back and forth. Of course, there's been discussion about street sweeping, snow removal, as well as would other areas of the city want these now that Willock Road, if they were to get them. So maybe before we move any further, Chief, could I just have you give a brief discussion, and then we'll open the floor, and I'll start with Councillor Vroba.
Sure, thank you, Your Worship. The issues on Willock Road, certainly they're not new. They started as soon as I arrived, certainly in this city in 2014, and have persisted since that time. You're correct in saying we've done a number of things with Willock Road. We've stepped up patrols, we've conducted blitzes and so forth, increased radar enforcement, put in new signage, used an electronic speed sign on that street as well. Following the initial installation of the speed device that was used to capture the initial data, we had put up the extra signage, and one of the things, and I believe it was Councillor Hoffert had asked, would the signs have any impact? So we conducted a second analysis between October 11th and 15th of 2016, where 3,619 vehicles were measured for speed. In that analysis, 64% were over 40 kilometers an hour, and 16% were over 50 kilometers an hour. So the actual percentage number actually increased, believe it or not, after that signage was up, which is unfortunate. We then conducted another blitz in November, just with all the media attention that's been going on in relation to that road. And within a very short time of conducting that blitz, we had charged 14 drivers with exceeding the speed limit on Willock Road. All of those charges were in excess of over 10 kilometers over the limit on that road. So certainly it's not working, the measures that we have put in place, the increased enforcement, the electronic signs, and so forth. And we're here today, obviously, with that data. It's been put before the Traffic Control Committee. NORMAC was present as part of that committee and was in agreement with this move forward. So that's the information that I can provide for council.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief. Councillor Vroba?
Thank you, Your Worship. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to hear a lot of what the chief of police said, but in my opinion, when I've spoken to a lot of people in that area and in the city that use that route, they are not in favor of doing the speed humps. So I think if we do proceed with them, we would end up having other people in other areas also believe that their streets are speed zones, and they might actually like them too. So I just think that we're opening ourselves up here if we were to go ahead. So.
Okay, thank you for that. What's the wish of the rest of council members? Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Worship. So, Chief, how much time do we, the department, spend on that particular piece of road in a week as we sit?
It certainly varies. The number of time that's spent there goes up and down. Obviously, there's other calls that we have to respond to, but during various periods of time, we actually assigned officers to be on Wellick Road anytime they weren't on other calls. So we were certainly expending a number of our resources, a large amount of resources to that area, without a doubt. And it gets to the point where is it reasonable to place officers there 24/7 and the cost associated with that? So we have to start looking at physical barriers. It's important to note that nobody loves the idea of speed humps, naturally, but the reality is when you've gone through every other measure possible, what's your other solution in regards to reducing the speed of traffic in that area?
Okay, thank you. At this point, I'm not convinced that's the way to go. That's my personal feeling. Being an old business person, I think it's a good money grab for us if people want to continue to speed there, and the numbers are what you say. I don't know how much money we get from those fines, but if there's that much going on, I feel we should still sit there and take their money. If they want to speed on that piece of road, I travel that road. I have no trouble traveling at 30. That's what it is. I feel the rest of the people can do the same thing, and those that don't want to, nail them. Simple as that. But the people I talk to, they certainly don't want the speed bumps there. I'm sorry. So since that's the way I voted the first time, and unless somebody can really turn my head a different direction, that's the way I'm staying today. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Travis?
Did we get, prior to the election when we were here, but did we ever actually survey the people that live on that street for their kind of opinion, or did I know we've gauged, I've got a lot of the same responses, Councillor Broba and yourself, that I've heard a lot of people not necessarily in favor of it, but I think I'd really like to know what the people that live on that street.
It's mixed. I've talked to people that are very much in favor of them, so it's mixed. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Worship. On my holiday that I just returned from in Maui, they have these speed humps all over. From observing traffic, they do slow traffic down. I know they don't have the snow, we don't have the snow removal there, but my own opinion, it does control traffic. It would be better than stop signs. It does slow everybody down. It doesn't hurt to try it. And also, I listening to Councillor Travis, maybe we could send a letter, not make a decision today, send a letter to every single one of the residents and get a reply back from them.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Okay, usually we don't canvass all of the people involved in a certain situation, but we could definitely do that if that's the wish of council. So, you're yawning, go ahead, Councillor Hoffer, I hope you're going to
No,
make
I'm not
this
yawning,
meeting.
I'm just getting ready to talk, actually.
Okay.
As I said in the debate, or the candidates forum, we continually want public opinion, and that's a great thing. The city manager just said he was disappointed with the lack of feedback from the public. So on this issue and traffic issues, we appointed a committee of the public to be a voice for us and to provide us direction on issues such as traffic. So for that reason, in addition to the unanimous support it got at the police board, which again is a public committee other than the two councillors and the members at large. So regardless of personal opinion, I'm going to support the police chief and the traffic board, because that's why we have them there. We want the public input, and I feel when they give it to us, when we specifically ask for it, that warrants our consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Hufford. I think everyone's weighed in. I too haven't changed my mind. Of course, being on the police board, I have supported this decision. I think it is worthwhile to try it. Try the 3 speed humps and see how they do. I mean, we've tried everything else conceivable. I actually thought the small children, the signs would help. I really did. Unfortunately, as the chief said, they seem to speed up. So I don't know. It's unfortunate, but I'd like to give it a try and see how successful it is. So have we got a motion to try the speed bumps?
Sure, I'll make that motion that we install 3 speed humps on Wellick Road.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Yanish, have we got a seconder? Councillor Hoffert? Okay, all those in agreement? Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, thank you. Let it be noted, Councillor Vroba is opposed and Councillor Moore is opposed. City Clerk, the rest are in favor. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for coming this evening, Chief. Okay, next, under introduction, would you please allow Councillor Nibs back in, please? Thank you. He's been cooling his heels. Are you going to behave now? Okay. Introduction of bylaws. This evening we will be, thank you, Councillor Hoffert. Let it be noted that Councillor Hoffert is leaving the council chambers. We will be asking this evening for bylaw 2017-1981 to provide tax for healthcare levy, the first reading this evening. Now, this is roughly $290,000, this levy. We will be continuing this after this year for another 2 years, which fulfills our commitment to the nursing home, which is about 1.2 million. City Manager? 1.3 million, I'm sorry, thank you. 1.3 million is the total commitment. So after 2017, we'll do 18 and 19, and that we should be pretty much where we have to be. And out of that total of 290,000, about 50,000 will be going to the hospital, to the foundation, which was agreed to by previous councils. So I'll be asking for first reading for bylaw 2017-1981 to provide for the healthcare levy first reading. Councillor Nibs, thank you. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Frank? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Vroba. Go ahead, Councillor Frank.
Just regarding this, just because I had a couple of concerns raised, I just wanted to make sure we made it clear to the public that this is not an increase or anything changed over previous years.
That's correct.
This is the same.
That's correct, yeah. And actually after, as I mentioned, Councillor Frank, after 2 more years after this year, then the bulk of it will be, our commitment will be forgiven, will be done. Okay, thank you. Let it be noted, Councillor Hoffert's back in chambers. Next, under public hearings and reports, we've got the City Clerk Council requesting penalty to be added to building bylaw. We've got the amendment on that. Now, we had talked to Rob Denny's on this, and we thought it was probably better to do this under zoning, correct, City Clerk?
Correct.
So we've got the recommendation to amend bylaw 2016-1976 with the removal of section 3. So I will be calling for third reading of this bylaw with the removal of section 3. Building performance deposit, and allow for third reading as amended. Further direct land development services to investigate adding contractor penalty to the zoning bylaw. So Adam will be doing that and coming back to us. Because the problem with going this other route, once you get into fines, you end up in court, and it's hard to say. It's very nebulous, collecting the fines and one thing and another, very time consuming. So land development thought it would be a lot better idea to simply go through the zoning bylaw and get it done that way. And of course, the whole idea, just to refresh everyone's memory, why we were doing that is for these people who take out a permit and never ever finish their building. And we've got a few buildings, unfortunately, and these people know who they are. 8, 9, 10 years later down the road, we've got open rafters, very unsightly for the neighbors, and it even negatively impacts the sale of their homes because it looks, well, horrible. So that was the whole idea behind that. So I will ask for third reading now then. Did you want?
Do you want to direct land development? You have
Okay.
to have a motion to direct land development.
Okay, well, first I'll get third reading and then I'll direct land development. Could we get a motion? You want to get a motion for that first? Could we get a motion first to direct land development to put this through the zoning bylaw? Thank you, Councillor Knibb, seconded by Councillor Moore. All in favor? Carried?
Aye.
Thank you, Councillor Vroba. And could I ask for a motion for bylaw 2016-1976 with the amendment of removal of section 3, building performance deposit, and move ahead with that rating? Could I have a motion for that rating? Thank you, Councillor Travis. Seconder, Councillor
I
Knibb.
can second that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vroba. All in favor? Carried. Thank you so much. So that will be ready for adoption and use.
Councillor Frank.
What?
You said Councillor Travis.
Oh, I'm still, sorry about that, Councillor Frank. Here I thought I was finally getting it right. Under giving notice, we have nothing this evening. Motions from committee, we have nothing. Considerations of bylaw. We have bylaw 2016-1976, amendments to the building bylaw to regulate building construction. Now, we've given that first and second reading. We've allowed it in the press for 2 weeks. Could we have a motion, please, for third reading and adoption for use of bylaw 2016-1976, amendments to the building bylaw to regulate building construction? Councillor Moore, thank you. Councillor Yanish, seconded. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you, Councillor Vroba. Okay, next, under consideration of bylaws, bylaw 2017-1980, bylaw to provide borrowing, second and third reading. Now, we had first reading, city manager, we went 2 weeks. Did we have no feedback on that at all?
No.
So I'll ask for second reading. Let's go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll just mention this is the final piece of our due diligence. By February 1st was our deadline for due diligence. So we received the council resolution. If the borrowing bylaw passes, that'll be the second part. And we did complete a structural study that indicated there was no glaring issues in the building structurally.
Okay. Thank you for that, city manager. Any further questions of city manager before we proceed? Okay. If not, then, under consideration of bylaws, bylaw 2017-1980, bylaw, to provide borrowing. Could we have second reading at this meeting, please? Thank you. Councillor Yadish, seconded. Councillor Knibbs, any questions or comments at this time? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Carried. And that includes Councillor Vroba. Thank you. Next, bylaw 2016-1976, amendments to the building bylaw to regulate building construction. Could we have third reading and adoption for use as presented, please? Councillor Moore, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Knibbs. Thank you. All in favor? Carried.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Vroba. Okay, next. Just under inquiries, SAD, the Estevan Comp was contacted. They're in a recruiting year this year. I know MAD had given us that donation request, but we were looking at donating to SAD, and they will be looking for support in the future for their mock disaster, which is coming up later this year, and they will contact us at that time. So starting with inquiries, Councillor Hoffer. None this evening? Councillor? Okay, thank you, Councillor Yanish. Councillor Frank? Nothing this evening. Councillor Knibbs? Nothing. Councillor Moore?
I have nothing.
Nothing this evening. City Manager?
Nothing, Your Worship.
City Clerk?
Nothing, Your Worship.
Trudy, Controller? Nothing? Okay. Oh, Councillor Vroba, sorry. Any comments this evening?
No, it's good, thanks.
Thank you, by the way, so much for phoning in and contributing. We absolutely appreciate that. I know you had better things to do in Vegas, so we thank you very much for doing that. Thank you.
Thank
Okay, well, I guess that's all we had this evening. Could I have a motion to move into committee, please? Thank you.
I can make a motion if no one else did.
Okay, well, thank you, Councillor Vrova, seconded Councillor Dibbs. All in favor? Carried. Thank you so much.
Aye.
Thank you so much.